Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we'll be talking about scannable resumes. Now, as we discussed in the previous lectures, scannable resumes are those resumes which are sent through mail. But there are major differences between the resumes that are hand submitted, that are posted, mailed, or the resumes that are electronically mailed. So today we'll be learning about those nuances that scannable resumes should be taken care of, about which scannable resumes should be taken care of, so that your scannable resumes are not rejected. One more thing, scannable resumes are mostly demanded by multinational corporations like United Nations or British Council, these kind of places. They are always in demand of scannable resumes. But of course, we cannot deny the fact that because of COVID-19, there might arise a situation that every company would now be asking for electronic resumes, or you might say scannable resumes. Before moving on to the nitty-gritty details of scannable resumes, I would like to talk about the process that scanning resumes go through. First of all, the scanner transfers the copies of your resume to the database of the company. And that database has got all the information of the advertisement. It has got the highlighted terms that the employer wants. It has got all the necessary information that the employer is looking from the employee. So basically, database has saved all the data of the advertisement requirement, important terms, important numbers that they want to actually focus upon. And after that, when a scanner transfers those copies to the database, that software, it screens the keywords. Now here lies the problem. If you have not pinpointed, or if you have not taken the terms from the advertisement, might be your application is going to be rejected. And you can't blame computer for that, because again, software is a robot. It's only going to generate the answers which have already been fed to the software. And because it's a robot, so we are going to play safe. We are only going to write, or we would think of writing those terms which are highlighted in the advertisement, because most of the times the advertisements also do not tell you what they actually want from the employee. They do not put those traits, they do not put those, you might say, skills and achievements that they want to focus on. So what you can do is you can Google the position, or you can write traits of ABC position. And the Google is going to generate a lot of, you might say, traits, a lot of descriptions that an employer might look for. And what you can do is you can pick the words from there and you can add those words to your scannable resumes. Because of course, the software is not only going to have only those words which the advertisement actually generated, it's also going to have some correlated words that the employee might write. So we're going to play the game on those might words, right? Okay, and for that purpose, you have the facility of internet. Go to Google, type your position, or write traits of ABC position, and you'll get a long list, and select from there. Then what happens when the software screens those keywords, the resumes having those keywords are highlighted, and consequently, they are mailed for interview. So this is the process of scannable resumes. And why is it a very, you might say, a tricky process? Because again, we have to be a little bit more cautious than writing a posted resume, because here we have to do a little bit of research work too. And we also have to strictly focus on the advertisement. If the data is available on the advertisement, well and good. If it's not there, then you have to shift to Google. And most of good companies, most of the multinational corporations, when they advertise on their web pages or on newspapers, you'll notice that they give you a very detailed description of the requirement. So you do not need to go to Google help. All the help shall be provided by the advertised advertisement, whether it's available on website or whether it's available on newspaper or any other social media. Now, one more thing. What makes a resume non-scannable resume? Your resume would become a non-scannable resume if, of course, the scanner or the software refuses to identify the letters or the words, or you might say the formatting that you have produced, if the scanner refuses to read that, or the software fails to read that, then your resume would become a rejected resume, despite the fact that you are highly qualified. So you have to be very cautious about formatting, about using font size, about using descriptions in scannable resumes. Now, the trick that you can do for an advertisement that is not offering you details, what else you can do? You can pick three similar ads. Pick three similar ads. For example, here we were applying for a marketing manager. We chose job advertisements, that the vacancies that were open for marketing managers. Take any three advertisements, and of course, those advertisements are going to be detailed advertisements. Take those advertisements, point out the similarities in those three advertisements. Like, for example, in these three advertisements, the similarity that I can identify is strategic and trade-related context, enhanced customer systems, targeted advertising, and in another advertisement, I can also see these words, communication specialist. In the third advertisement, I can also see these words, business cooperate, conceptually sound relationships. So basically, these are the traits, or these are the skill set that are correlating in these three advertisements, but they are referring to one job vacancy, that is marketing manager. So if you do not have the facility of internet, what you can do is you can, of course, these ads can also be have from Google Images. But what you can do is, if you have the facility of newspaper, go for three similar advertisements from the newspaper if you can get a hand on it. And if you're unable to do that, then switch to Google, go to Google Images and search for similar job advertisements for ABC position. And there, find out the similar terms that they have used. After that, use those similar highlighted terms in your resume. For example, just three advertisements that we just actually witnessed, they had these words: strategic communication specialist, brand development, targeted advertising, commercially sound relationships. Now, these were the terms that were actually used by all three advertisements. Or even if these three terms were not used by all three advertisements, some or the other, the terms were actually similar. So we're going to pick these terms and we're going to put them in our resume. Also, when you are writing scannable resumes, one thing, of course, that I taught you for writing an ordinary resume too, or you might say posted resume too, the mail resume, that you should be using specific dynamic verbs, either present verbs or past verbs. Of course, present verbs will be used when you are talking about your experience, when you're still serving in a position. And the past dynamic verbs will be used when you will be talking about your past experiences. And as promised, I'm going to arrange for this list when I'm going to give you the assignment number 3 of resume designing. And there I'll post that dynamic verbs, right? So what you should be doing is, of course, dynamic verbs, present or past imperatives. And let's see how these scannable resumes can be formatted. Now, unlike we had in posted resumes, mail resumes, we use different kinds of creative templates. In scannable resumes, templates are a big no. Avoid using templates. Why no templates? Because again, the scanner or the software will not be able to recognize the characters, the lines, or any other difference if you will be submitting your resumes with a template. As discussed earlier, resume has to be one page. If you're using 2 pages, and how will you be using 2 pages? Because in the next lecture, we will be doing a cover letter. A cover letter has to be placed before a resume. So if you're writing a cover letter, of course, with a resume, then of course, it's going to become 2 pages. Now, how would you use your 2 pages? I'll show it to you over here in MS Word. When you're using 2 pages, make sure your complete contact information with header is there on the top. and page number is at the bottom. I'll show you how. Open your MS Word. Here we have a blank document. Go to Insert, and there you will see header. Header means the top portion. And of course, your header includes your name, your phone number, address, email address, right? And what else? Your Facebook ID, LinkedIn ID. Footer is something down, right? And page number, you have got different choices. Top of page, it's going to look like this.
मैम आपकी PowerPoint वाली स्लाइड ही शो हो रही है. आपकी PowerPoint वाली स्लाइड शो हो रही है.
But this cannot be possible because, okay, fine. I'll do it over here for your convenience. Here, can you see? Can you see the MS Word? Can you see the MS Word?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Fine, fine. Okay, one more thing. Let me do this. I'll show you how to do it in Microsoft Word. Is the word visible now?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Ma'am, you turned off your screen sharing.
I did, Rita. I did. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Fine.
Yes, ma'am.
So here, you'll go to Insert. Okay? There, you'll go to this section, Header. And as we discussed earlier, your header is going to have your name, phone number, email address, Facebook, LinkedIn ID. Footer is, of course, the end of the page. We're not concerned with that. And let's see the page number. You have got different options. You can write your page numbers on top of page, on bottom of page, page margins, but we are concerned with just the bottom of page. So what you will be doing is click bottom of page, and you would have your, right now, let's see, it's not showing over here right now, but I hope when you will be writing your document, it will be showing you page number at the bottom. Okay, they've got different choices at bottom too. Whether you want to place it over here, whether you want to place it at the center, whether here. So I think this is the most preferable place. So did you see that? In the footer, you have the page number, right? But how are you going to place it? You're going to write it like this. 1 of 1. So this means that this is page number 1 of 1. On the next page, you would write 1 of 2. Or if you don't want to write this, just say 1. And then page number 2, and then page number 3. Got it? Or if you know if your document has got 3 pages, or your document has got 2 pages. So you're going to write 1 of 2, right? And on the next page, you're going to write, can somebody help me? What are you going to write? What are you going to write on the next page?
2 of 2.
Okay. So this of 2 is, yes, 2 of 2, which means that you had 2 pages. You have attached 2 pages, right? And why am I telling you to write this? Because sometimes one of the pages get misplaced. So if you will be writing the total number of pages, you can actually claim that you had submitted these number of pages, right? So if any mishap happens, it's from their side, not from your side. So what you're going to write, of 2, whatever number of pages you have, 3 number, 4 pages, 5 pages, and you would write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 over here, right? And this is how you're going to use your header and footer. Now let's move back to our presentation. See, I've also written it over here. Page number 1 of 2 and 2 of 2 at bottom of page. Now this is important, and why is it important? We have just discussed, so that if your page numbers are misplaced, you can actually claim that you had submitted this number of page. Make sure that your text is left aligned or justify your text. Now what is left alignment or justifying the text? I'm not going back to Word because you can also see this over here. When you go to Word, you'll see in this paragraph section these four bullets. You might say these four icons, right? One of them says align left, the other one says center, this one says align right, this one says justify. So what you're going to do when you're done with your document, make sure that you highlight the whole document and you actually align it, left align it, or justify the text. So you can use this one, this actually, you can click on this one, or you can click on this one. We'll resume after Azan. Or you can use Arial or Times New Roman, 10 to 12 text, 14 for titles. And of course, no more than 2 font sizes. In the previous mailed resume, hand-mailed resume, I taught you that you can use 3 font sizes, 18, 14, and 12. But in a scannable resume, just 2 font sizes, 10 to 12 for text and 14 for titles. We'll resume after Azan. Okay. So of course, we also learned that there should not be more than 2 font sizes. Also, use bullet statements as you did it in your previous resumes, previous types of resumes, but avoid paragraphs. And your bullets should be a solid circle or a solid square only. Don't use kind of other options if you have. For example, we have the options of tick marks, you have the option of you might say other pictures, other you might say other bullets, like for example triangle or any other shape. Stick to solid circle or solid square. Do not use any kind of italics, underlining, columns, or any kind of graphics. Because this is again scannable resume, the software will not be able to read underlinings or italics or columns, but you can bold the terms. Of course, very importantly, use the keywords that are present in the job announcement, or make sure that you search for the keywords and put them down in the scannable resume. And last but not the least, print it on 8.5 into 11 white or ivory bond weight paper. So it should be something pleasant to the eyes. When the reader reads it, it should be of good quality, something of good quality. If you're responding via email, you're going to send the Word document, typed on Microsoft Word, of course, and you're going to attach it to your mail. Also, you're going to save your file named as with your name and resume at the end. You can also add the position if you want, but even if you want to skip the position, at least write your full name and the document name. Is it CV? Is it cover letter? Is it resume? You need to mention it. Or you can add, as I just mentioned, you can add the job position also. Also, when you're mailing it, you're going to cut, copy, paste your resume as a text-only version in the body of your email. Of course, when you're going to send it, it's going to become an attachment. You're going to attach the file, the folder, isn't it? You're going to attach the file as a document. But also, if sometimes, what happens when they open the file, it's a corrupt file, or they are sometimes unable to open it. So in order to avoid that inconvenience, or in order to avoid that botheration, so that they might ask you that we haven't received your mail, or they might tell you that they might not be bothered to tell you that we have received it or not, because they don't have that much time. So what you should be doing it, play safe, add your resume as an attachment, and also cut, copy, paste it as a text only in your body of your email. After writing greetings sir, then attach your resume, then copy paste your resume, and then also make it an attachment. If you're responding via post, mail your resume in a 9 into 12 manila envelope. Manila envelope are business envelopes. You might have seen them. They are A4 size envelopes, right? And they're also called as business envelopes or manila envelopes. They are available in both the colors, brown and white. So you can opt for a brown or a white color, depending on your choice, no problem with that. But do not fold or staple your resume, because your resume might include references section. Do not staple it. In fact, instead use paperclip. And in the next section and the next module, we'll also be doing cover letter. So everybody of you will definitely be having at least 2 pages. So there'll be 2 pages that you will be mailing, a resume and a cover letter. So make sure that you're using paperclip and you're not folding it or not stapling it. Now this is a sample resume of an electrical engineer. You might see it's very clear. There are no different stylish font sizes used, no kind of different italics used, and even the font styles that I've used are very simple one, Times New Roman, classic one, right? You can see the header, name, address, Gmail. I've told you nowadays people are also adding Facebook and LinkedIn. Add here. Also, one more thing that students are doing nowadays, they are using icons. So instead of writing Facebook, they're using the icon of Facebook. Instead of saying LinkedIn, writing or typing LinkedIn, they're using the icon of LinkedIn. You can also use that. You can also use that creativity. Then objective, which of course I would not agree with over here, because this objective is a one-liner. It's not sufficient enough, but I just wanted to show you a sample. Then look at the education section. In education, he has only mentioned his BS. He has not mentioned his intermediate or matriculation or O levels, A levels. He has just mentioned his bachelor's because he think he had a lot to offer in the upcoming white spaces. Then notice this related coursework heading. Then he also talked about his project, which I also told you that you can talk about your senior project, about your final year project. It can also be given the heading of final year project or thesis, right? Then he has talked about the skills he had. He had actually placed the skills first and then the experience afterwards. Well, you can do in the same way, or you can go for experience first and then put your skills afterwards. Then notice he has mentioned two kinds of skills, hardware and software. Also, notice he has not talked about any kind of, you might say, out of the course skills. The skills that he has mentioned has to do a lot of his expertise gained in electrical engineering. Processor design, high frequency microwave design, feedback control systems, in software, C++, Java, LISP, object-oriented programming, OS programming, right? In related experience, he has mentioned his experience as teaching assistant. And notice, he has given you both qualitative and quantitative data. He graded assignments for 30 to 40 students. And he also introduced lab instrumentation and methodology. Then, in the other work experience section, he tells you that he developed a rate test for 10 over 100 LAN cards. Again, the number. In the last line, ran qualification tests on mini PCI project on 12 Dell laptops and 5 OSs. Again, 5 OSs. Quantitative description. Honors and activities, heading again. Dates just in the front, right? And then he has talked about memberships or affiliations, we can call them. He's talked about affiliations. IEEE, I told you if you are interested in at least what you can do at the minimum is you can join at least IEEE, right? And you can mention it at the end of your resume that you have an affiliation from IEEE. This brings us to the end of this session. I'm going to take your questions now. Please text me your questions and I'll be responding them.